Hey guys, we're going to be looking at a older kit this week with Monogram's 1/48 scale Devastator TBD-1 kit. So let's open it on up and take a look. Now this is a very old kit, so don't be super surprised with some of the details aren't being anywhere near the same level as they are with a more modern kit. Starting out with the clear parts, these are actually halfway decent. Sufficiently clear, nicely detailed, little bit complex in terms of how you are going to need to mask it off depending on the version you go with, but quite workable and without any real issues and properly shaped. Only thing to be aware of and be careful of is mounting the sight through this hole. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge. We'll get to that later. Moving on, we've got our two fuselage halves as well as the inner wing halves. This kit does include options parts to do it with the wings folded. I'll try and bring it in. Obviously, all the surface detail is raised, which is unfortunate, but overall correct. Detailing on these axis panels areas is sufficient. Obviously, nowhere near what you'd expect today, but no, they'll do. Flipping on over to our inner. Do have some cockpit detail already molded on. It's sufficient, but again, nowhere near the same level of quality as, say, an aftermarket kit. Next up, we've got our two outer wing halves for the wings. Again, they do include these little hinge joints for doing the wing folds. To be perfectly honest, to look at this kit, it feels like they designed it more so to have the wings folded than to have the wings down, just to look at how they did the parts. Not to say you can't do it, but it is something to be aware of. It might take a little extra effort to clean up the wing fold area. Anyway, continuing on, we've got our bomb bay doors, which, depending on if you're doing it with a torpedo, which I would think most people would build this kit having, or if you're building it with a bomb load, we'll decide whether you need to glue this in the closed or open position. So that is something to be aware of. And thankfully, when we do get to instructions, they do have you do that prior to closing up the fuselage halves. Though they do include a nice reminder if you're building the bomber version to attach them later. We got our torpedo holder, as well as our main gear wheels, which are not the greatest in terms of detail level. Another area, if you can find some aftermarket parts to replace them, would be for the best. The engine's not half bad. Compared to resin, obviously it's not going to be as detailed, but just out of the gate, level of detailing is not half bad. Hopefully this will focus and show up. So I would say this is one area you could probably save a little money and not go for any type of extra detailing, as just out of the gate, it's not bad. Anyway, continuing on, we have the mounting for the rear machine gun, another part that's got to go in, as well as a couple other odds and ends and various sights for the cockpit. Next up, we start getting more into the meat with our cockpit, which is a little rudimentary in terms of some of the detailing, but since a lot of that's going to be closed up, I wouldn't be too concerned, but obviously it is an area to be aware of. We also have our wing fold details, which detailing is not the greatest, but it's there. Two cockpit seats, as well as our torpedo. This torpedo not the greatest in terms of detailing. It's almost all non-apparent. And I would say definitely if you can find a Mark 13 torpedo somewhere aftermarket or from another kit, definitely get one. Another area of note that's pretty poor is the main gear themselves, as the detailing is really bulbous and poor. So that is something to be aware of. Kit also comes with a set of 3 figures, 2 of which are maintenance workers and 1 pilot. Not a whole lot to say there. Detailing is about what you expect from the period. So they're usable, but not the greatest. Continuing on, we got a cowling, a lot of areas of detail there, as well as our horizontal stabilizers, one of which is fallen off, as well as our prop. Front office for the pilot. Try to get this in focus. It's not too bad, but obviously a photo etched or resin would be better. Continuing on, a few more odds and end parts, as well as our rear gun, more detailing parts for the wing folds, as well as our bomb bay and sight. Lastly, we have our bottom wing setup. Again, not a whole lot of detail in there. In fact, there is no actual main gear bays for this kit, so that is another thing to be aware of. So overall, it does have some good pluses and minuses. Now, because this is an older kit at the time of getting it, so decals, I would say, are at a 50-50 as to whether or not they will work. Just feeling the paper backing, I'm going to suspect that they're probably, if I were to dip these in mortar, they'd probably destroy themselves immediately. So that is something to be aware of with these older kits. As far as, clarity and register and all that, they're great. I just don't think I'll end up using these. That or find some other way to go about it. Now, moving on to the instructions. Now, the instructions are pretty complex. Now, they do include little snippets as to how to build it. So I would definitely say before you tackle this kit, read the instructions carefully. This is a bit of an involved build, as you do have multiple option parts and things that need to be done in certain sequence order. But overall, there is a pretty clear logical progression. You're just going to need to be well aware of what you're doing. So this is one to definitely slow down and take your time to build it. Now, you're given 2 marking options. Actually, 3, my apologies. 2 of which are from combat and 1 in pre-war, which, to be honest, you don't really see as much. So to have that as an option is quite nice. Actually, let me fully expand that. So, yeah, obviously you got your standard blue on blue that you'd see during the war, but having that yellow on metal pre-war version is a nice inclusion. So overall, what do I think of this kit? Well, it is an older kit, so it is going to require a little bit of TLC. It does have some issues, but overall, the kit has some good bones. And if you're willing to put some time and effort into it, I do think it'll build up to a very nice kit. This is one you need to be aware of going in, what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and just slow down, take your time. So yeah, that was a look at Monogram's 1/48 scale Devastator TBD-1. So until next time.